because it goes back to when you were in first grade. And I want you to imagine you're coming home from school in first grade, just like I was on this particular fall day. And as I get closer and closer to home, I start going up the driveway. I'm wondering, hey, what's Dad's car here? It's too early for him to be home. And then I looked and whose car is that in the front? Right in front there. I've never seen that car before. So I walk up the back steps on the porch, screen door slams, and I hear a voice. Yeah, Dad, what? You want me to come into the bedroom? Okay. So I walk through the kitchen, down the long hallway, into the bedroom, and there's my dad with this stranger. Who's that, Dad? Well, son, that's Bernie. Dad, why is Bernie here in my bedroom? Well, son, Bernie's going to help you with that little problem you've been having and your brothers have been having. What problem, Dad? Dave, you know the little bedwetting problem? How many of you would actually get up in front of 100 people and tell them you had a bedwetting problem? So, it takes courage to do this job. And I said, how's he going to do that, Dad? And that's when Bernie, the bedwetting salesperson, peels back the covers of my bed, revealing a gigantic, what looked to me like a screen door. What's that, Bernie? Well, Dave, it's a big mesh, and it's connected to this. And he moves out of the way, and there on the floor is a little box, looked like a gigantic car battery to me. Dad, if I wet the bed at night, I get electrocuted? No, son, that's an alarm. If you wet the bed at night, okay, you go to the bathroom, and it'll wake you up, and you go to the bathroom in the bathroom. Oh, okay. Folks, can I share something with you? The whole thing scared the you-know-what out of me. So my father says, well, Bernie and I are going to get this machine, and we're going to talk to him. You go outside, Dave. So I go outside, and I'm a little nervous. So I'm throwing these acorns around, and we got big oak trees. I grew up in Connecticut, throwing these acorns around. A couple minutes later, here comes Bernie and my dad walking down the front sidewalk, and they start dialoguing, and my father looks over and says, hey, stop throwing those acorns. Okay, Dad. And then I saw something I'd never seen before. Have you ever seen someone do this to your dad? Bernie, I saw this. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but someone lifted their finger to my dad. And then I saw my father look down, shake his head, and then shake Bernie's hand. And Bernie drove off into the sunset, never to be heard from again, because he did his job. He sold the machine. By the way, in case you're worried, the machine worked. Okay. And never heard from Bernie again, or about Bernie, until several years ago. I'm in the hospital. My dad's recovering from his third heart attack. And he says, Dave, come on in here for a second. I said, what's that, Dad? He says, sit right here. So I sat on his bed. He says, give me your hand, son. And he took my hand. And now, what you have to understand about my father, he was Norwegian, not very emotional. I mean, I knew he loved my mom because once he almost hugged her. So he takes my hand. I'm getting a little nervous, right? And he says, son, do you remember Bernie, the bedwetting salesperson? I'm like, yes, Dad, I do. He said, I never told you how he changed your life. I said, changed my life? How do you mean, Dad? He said, do you remember when he kind of pointed, he yelled at me? I said, I couldn't hear, Dad, but I saw him point because I'd never seen that before. He said, what he said to me there, Dave, was this. He says, Mr. Jensen, you got 4 fine boys there, and that Dave, he's different than the rest of them, isn't he? And my father goes, you bet. That Dave is off doing his own thing all the time, and I got to snap him back into line. That's when Bernie put his finger and says, well, why don't you let Dave do his own thing instead of trying to make him do your thing? And in that hospital, my dad said, from that day on, son, I changed how I raised you. He said, you are who you are because of Bernie, the bedwetting salesperson. And you know the moral of the story, folks? The moral of the story is this. Bernie never knew that. I wish I could meet him today, because I would like to tell him what a difference he made in my life. And you may not hear that from your patients. And you may not hear that from your therapist, but I'm here to tell you, you make a difference in your patients' lives. I know, because Uncle Joe told me it's so. He was the one driving Mom back and forth to therapy when she was dying of lung cancer. And both Uncle Joe and Mom told me, they're so nice in radiation therapy. You know, we tell them all the time, it's a great, great, great group of people, Dave. I said, I know some of those people, Ma. And she lost her battle, so you may not hear enough. But I'm here to tell you, you make a difference in people's lives. And I want you to please use it, not lose it. And remember, the end of this meeting is the start of your journey to fulfill the purpose of your meeting. Thank you all so very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.